So I'm in my hometown, Portland. I'm in one of the most famous bookstores, Powell Books. There's books literally for floors and floors. There's like 5 floors of books. The books filled from the floor all the way to the ceiling. And I'm like looking through all these titles. I'm like looking for a book. I'm like, I want to get a book. Even though I'm reading these titles of books, my mind is somewhere else. My mind is like, what am I gonna have for dinner tonight? What food cart am I gonna go to? What if I run into somebody in this bookstore? That would be crazy. I mean, who even would I run into a place like this in this bookstore? Anyways, as I'm browsing and having all these background thoughts, I'm kind of reading them, I'm kind of thinking, I'm kind of multitasking, right? I see a book by the title name Mindwandering. And I look at the front and it says, how your constant mental drift can improve your mood and boost your creativity. And I was like, I need that book. You know what I mean? So today, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a book breakdown, meaning giving you guys the most practical things that I got from this book. And hey, just so you know, before I picked this book up, I did not know that I was gonna be reading from my boy Moshe. Now, obviously, if you're into all that scientific talk and you like big old scientific words, I implore you to give this book a read. But when I picked this book up, I did not realize that my man Moshe is a literal, internationally renowned neuroscientist. So my man is a scientist, wrote a book. So anyways, at any rate, I'm gonna give you guys the main points because, well, chances are you're already mind-wandering right now. This is gonna be a full book breakdown of Mindwandering by Moshe in your boy Jozy TV's words and opinions. I'm gonna try to make it in layman's terms because that's what I would prefer if it was me reading the book. But Moshe is a scientist. He's internationally renowned neuroscientist. Mindwandering is when, like I was explaining in the situation, right? You're doing something, or maybe you're doing nothing, and then your mind goes into this little thing, right? Where you're thinking about maybe sipping margaritas on the beach, but it could also be like thinking out, like planning out your day, like, all right, I'm gonna do this, envisioning that. Typically, it's easy to get stuck, especially with people. If you're anything like me, you can get a little, well, irritated with the mind wandering, especially when you're trying to say, you know, taking some good information, right? You're trying to listen to what the point they're trying to make, but your mind is anywhere else. For example, like 3,000 dogs barking outside of my house in a blowhorn. Anyways, yeah, so mind wandering is kind of it can be seen as a negative thing. Moshe really discusses with us the fact that mind wandering is not all bad. Why is it not all bad? Because mind wandering can actually boost your mood. It can also teach you things by the simulations you create in your head. So obviously you're creating a simulation, okay? And you can actually learn a lesson from those simulations. So now you don't gotta do it. So you simulate, what if I put my hand on that burner? You don't gotta do it now because you simulated, oh no, then I'm like have a 3rd-degree burn and then I have to go to the hospital. So, you know, you add the simulation so you don't do it. It's all good, right? Now, Moshe also talks about how mind wandering, though, can also turn into ruminative thinking. But ruminative thinking is focused either on past or present, but it's kind of a more negative, slightly obsessive way of thinking. So if you want to think about the past, for example, you dwell on one situation. So let's say you were out at the library, right? You're talking to the girl in the library, y'all vibing. You know, you can kind of tell she's giving you the looks, you know what I mean? Like, she's giving you the looks. And at the end, you're just kind of like, all right, well, have a good day. Now, let's just imagine, though, you're a single guy. You want a girl that's like a reader, and she's pretty much like falling into all the categories. Now, you're like 20 minutes later in your car driving home, and now this is how ruminating goes. It's like, oh, can't believe I didn't talk to that girl. She was literally flirting with me. I never take action when I want to take action. Why I gotta be such a freaking clown? I'm probably just better off being forever alone. Man, I'm probably just never gonna make it with these girls, man. Honestly, I'm never gonna get a girl, man. I'm gonna be forever single. So you just start attacking it from different angles, And ultimately, you're going nowhere. So mind wandering can be bad when it's ruminative thinking. Now, also notice ruminative thinking in the past can lead down the spiral to depression. Now, the future, you can also ruminate about the future. Example of that, you gotta talk to your boss. There's a situation going on, you gotta talk to your boss about it, it's kind of serious. Now you're ruminating about that though. Oh, crap, I gotta talk to my boss. What if he just laughs in my face? What if he doesn't even take me seriously? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I never say the right thing anyways. Shoot, what if I mess up and I say like a cuss word? Honestly, what if I just go there, I set up this whole meeting, and then I end up just not even saying what I need to say? I don't think I'm gonna be ready. Honestly, I should probably just cancel the meeting. I don't think I can do this. See, so same thing, right? You're attacking it from different angles, and you're not going anywhere. So this ruminative thinking has to stop, because the future, once again, not depression, but anxiety. You're all anxious about the situation. It's not even gonna happen. Now, you're like, well, Josiah, every time I'm mind wandering, it goes into this ruminative, evil thought process, right? Thinking about all this dumb stuff from whatever, whenever, or coming up, right? So Moshe does give us some practical ways to ultimately break out of these ruminative thought tracks and these traps. Really, they're traps. These ruminative thought traps, not tracks. Now, one way is you want to get into a more bottom-up process. So relying more on your senses, getting more immersed into something. Now that could be like a run. That could be like hitting the gym. That could be like doing something fun, like a roller coaster, right? You gotta break out of it so that you're not so top down, but you're now more bottom up. So bottom up is more you're outside, what you're experiencing from the outside, less all the memories and things and blah, blah, blah inside your head, right? So do something a more bottom up process that gets you more immersed. Now, say you can't, say you're in bed, you gotta be up early tomorrow, and you're just stuck in this ruminative thought trap. Now, Moshe is talking about a new method that he's working on in his lab, and this is how it goes. It's called thought labeling. You take each thought and you basically put different labels on it, different categories, and then you file it into the archive, just like your Gmail, right? You take that email, archive. Now, this is how you do it though. So you'll take like a couple characteristics, right? So for example, you're thinking, there's like positive, negative, neutral. Is it about the future, present, or past? And is it about me, others, or both? So for example, you're thinking about how your girl is about to go on a 2-month excursion to Dubai. Now you're reminiscing about it, all the possibilities. Oh my gosh, my girl's leaving me for 2 months. Oh my gosh. Anyways, forget that mess. Look, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna take the thought. All right, it's negative, it's future, and it's about others. All right, clip, archive it. Because obviously Moshe talks about the simple fact that you can't just say, I'm not gonna think about these ruminative thoughts, I'm just gonna mind wander about nice things. But as we know, the more you try to not think about it, the more it's gonna come back stronger and bigger and beefier. You know what I mean? Like, these ruminative thoughts are going on steroids. So how to avoid that? Let's try either getting into an immersive state, going doing something fun, going on a run, right? Watching some funny, some funny cat videos or something. And then if you can't do that, let's try these thought labels. So we're gonna label the thoughts and we're gonna archive them in the brain, just like your Gmail. And if you're always in this mind wandering state, obviously if you're only thinking about the past and you're always just daydreaming about, Cancun next month, well, there are some ways to be more mindful, right? To get more in the moment. Now, Moshe is a big advocate for meditation. This dude has gone on week-long camps in the middle of nowhere. Meditate. Dude's just meditating out there, just chilling. Now, I know you might be thinking, meditate, whoa, man. I'm not trying to do the hum stuff. Now, I don't think he means that necessarily. It's more so the simple act of focusing on breathing, right? Either whether your eyes are open or closed, but you're just focusing on your breathing. Every time your mind wanders, you focus back to your breathing. Now, he does also use this meditation strategy though to also be more immersed. And basically, the benefits of meditation really is that you if you're stuck in a place and you're really focusing on this meditation, really everything around you can become a scope of interest, right? We get so caught up in, we just want stimulation, right? All the time. But when we get to really meditate, it allows us to actually find the interesting things in our environment, because there's always constant interesting things in our environment, but a lot of the time we're not taking that time to enjoy them, right? So ultimately, Moshe is a huge advocate of meditating. He does recommend everyone should at least go 1 week, at least a 1 week retreat where you legit just meditate. Now, the final point that I want to touch on, and this is really big because, I mean, if you're anything like me, whenever I see a beautiful sunset, I'm just in pure joy and feeling prosperous, you know? But I learned that there's a lot of other reactions to sunsets. Kind of like, yeah, back to the fun. But at the end of the day, like, there is a thing to that. And that's the simple fact that we only have so much real estate in our brain. And so like we were talking about earlier with the top down and the bottom up, top down is when your mind is more in an exploitive state, and when you're in the bottom up, you're more in a exploratory state, right? Your mind is more exploratory, you're more taking in, using your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, right? Your feel. When you're in the top down, you're more focused on, okay, your memories, your past experiences, and using those to shape kind of like what you're feeling. And so it's truly crazy because Moshe really touches on the simple fact that the more real estate that you have available in your brain, the more open you are, the more creative you are, and ultimately the more you can be immersed in a situation. And so Moshe conducted a study in his lab, and they were basically seeing how associative people were or how creative they were, and there were two groups. One group, they had them remember a simple string of numbers like 26. The second group, they had them remember a more complex string of numbers like 3, 1, 4, 5, 7. Now, the ones who had to remember the shorter string during the different exercises that they put them through in the study, they were actually way more creative, way more associative as far as finding different associations, where the more heavy load, where they had more space taken up in there, the real estate in the brain, they were less associative and they were less creative. Meaning, we have to try to clear up this space in our mind, because the more full it is, the less creative we can be, the less associative we can be, and the less immersed we can be, and the less immersed we can be in our life, right? And he really made a big example, as in two people, probably no two people can look at a statue and see the same beauty, because most of the time we're seeing stuff also based on our experiences and what's going on inside of our brain. Moshe does, of course, recommend us to take a consistent survey of kind of where our state of mind is, right? Before we go into something. He'll kind of do a quick little checklist before he's going to go into a situation. What is my state of mind? Ultimately, to kind of know where you're at, right? You're going to have the best mind-wandering experiences, and you're going to get the most out of it when you don't have anything pressing coming up in the future, and you're in a good mood. So that wraps up my first book breakdown, Mindwandering by Moshe Bar. But I did want to give you guys the main points, the main takeaways that I got from this book, because I am trying to make these videos not super long. If you guys want a more intense book breakdown, just let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching Jozy TV. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out all the other videos on the channel. We got a whole bunch of stuff. And we live from Mexico. We gone.